location. I'm up in a new apartment here in Red Bank, New Jersey. I miss seeing Coach Goodell's face, that's for sure. Trying to make this a consistent weekly thing. We had to change the time a little bit. Over at Rutgers University, it's every university right now and everywhere. It's a little chaos. Just figuring it out, getting COVID tests twice a week. We're just figuring out our schedules, getting back on a consistent basis here with Coach Goodell. And we're back. We're ready to share with you what's been going on and what's new. On a very special day today, being 9/11, and I think that weighs heavy in all of our hearts. Just the time when it happened, where we were, and what was going on in each one of our lives. Just I know I wanted to come on here today, especially just to honor those people and show my condolences. I wasn't greatly affected personally, and my family wasn't. There was nobody direct in my family that was affected, but I did have close friends, and I had people in school that had parents that they lost, and uncles and aunts. And I remember being in first, second grade when this all went down, and just kind of everyone got brought to the gym, and it was so surreal. I really didn't know. We got sent home, and for me, it was like it was crazy, but it wasn't anything that really affected me directly. And I know there's some people out there with some crazy stories, and I know Coach Goodell has a pretty interesting story about that day. But in general, we just want to honor those people that were affected and those families and everyone that was a part of it and that helped, the firefighters that went in there and helped so many lives and maybe risked their own lives in the process.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's first of all, it's great to be back with you. It's been a couple weeks. There's been a lot going on. There's a lot to talk about as far as our program, our guys training, back to training. A lot to talk about with college wrestling. But you're right, 9/11 is such a special day, and obviously not in a great way, but it's just a day that we have to continue to remember. It's been 19 years, which is crazy, 19 years, and we are so much affected by it, whether we think it or not. Ant, just being where we live. And I mean, you could even certain parts of our state where we drive through every single day, you could see the smoke from those days. I remember going to Yankee Stadium later on, just freaked out by that trip, over the GW and things like that. But that day was crazy, man. I'll never forget it. I brought my class. I was teaching at Jackson High School. My wife was working in the grant office. So I brought my class from one end of the building to the other to go to the computer room. And I got word that their plane hit the World Trade Center. Didn't think anything of it. Put my class to work. It was a math class that we were going on the computers. I forget exactly what we were doing, but I went in and saw my wife because the grant office was near the computer lab. So when I went in to see her to say hello, I couldn't believe like a plane. I thought it might be a little small plane hit the building, and I didn't think anything of it. And then when I was in there seeing her, the second plane hit. And we were like, damn. It was like crazy. So immediately I went back to my class, made sure they were all right. I sat in there. They had no idea what was really going on. And we sat there long enough to see one of the towers collapse. And then we got our class back. And by that point, they were making arrangements to get the heck out of school. So that's kind of how that day went by. I was going through files the other day of newspaper clippings, the Daily News and the New York Post from the very next day. And I still have them saved to this day that I'll keep forever. So just a crazy day and really, really affected in the New Jersey, New York area, obviously, Connecticut, the tri-state area. So, yeah, you're right. We remember those people, remember those heroes, people who fought hard to find people, to get the survivors, to get in the building. Just crazy. And it'll be all over the news tonight. And it's weird how I think my son, we were talking about this last year, there's a curriculum now where 9/11 is part of the social studies, is part of the history, is part of the curriculum, because they weren't born yet. So here they are now. They're talking about it in school for maybe the first time. So surreal,
Yeah, it's history at this point. 19 years, as you said, gone past. I mean, we need to be teaching the kids in elementary school weren't alive. They're born in the 2000s. They weren't alive for this event. So it's important to be passing those things down, and we got to learn from it, and get the facts. It's very important just to learn from our history, just like in athletics. You learn from your previous matches or your previous events and get better and improve. And we need to do that as society. To do that, we need to pass that knowledge down. But yeah, I just think about a couple like really close friends that are still very very heavily affected to this day because maybe they have an uncle or their parent. And, I just think about those people and it makes me want to reach out to them on days like today. And on top of that, man, it makes me so grateful to be an athlete and to compete and do what I love every day. I'm injured right now. I'm on the shelf, but days like today make me so grateful just to realize like, okay, I got to go take 2 COVID tests at Rutgers every week. I have to do the rehab recovery and I don't get to wrestle every day maybe right now, but I'm living the dream, man. I'm making a salary doing what I love. And every day is a chance to just get better at doing what I love. Not many people get to do that and get to say that. So as maybe sad as remembering days like today, for me, it gives me a stronger belief in what I'm doing and the lives that I'm affecting, and maybe going a little bit harder towards trying to affect those more lives or whatever I may be doing on the way.
Yeah, I think for sure it's about being grateful, right? Having gratitude. And we talk about it all the time. Then you go through maybe a bad practice or a bad match, and you throw that all out the window, and then you have to get back to reality. But just all about being grateful that we're still here, able to do what we love to do every single day. And even like having to get up just to drive up to take a COVID test, where I'm not even allowed to be in the facility right now based on some things that have gone on with our program. But I have to go up there, and I'm just grateful I'm able to do that because there's people that don't have the opportunity to do what I do. So that's where we're at. That's where the program's at. I didn't get to see you this morning. Were you up there?
Yeah, I'm in and out when I go in, man. Just do my I'm very hydrated. It's a spit test. I get that 3 to 4.
I never get a good spit. It takes me a little bit longer.
I swear, like if you like measured, I think it's 3 to 5 spits for me on the average of the 3 tests I took. And I feel like that's pretty impressive. Like, I don't know any other athletes in there going 3 to 5 spits in there.
Yeah. So I'll address the elephant in the room. I know we have Tyler Berger's going to come on, and we'll see what's going on out in Nebraska as far as their training. But the elephant in the room, and it's well documented. It went across the media that we shut down our program for a couple of days. So we did have a couple young guys. We can't mention names, obviously, that were tested positive. Just college students, being college students. They feel great. They're being self-quarantined in another dorm, but they feel great. They went for a run yesterday. They're away from everybody. But just to be safe, we took the rest of the week off. Again, we had a test today. We'll have a test Monday, and then we'll see where we're at as far as getting back in. But even myself can't be up there just because there's a contact trace, right? I showed a move on one of the guys that was affected, but I feel great. I'm fine. I trained yesterday by myself downstairs. But that's where our program's at. We went about 9 days of training, lifting and running, and then, of course, wrestling. So team looks great. Everybody's in the room that's on our roster. It's a special group. There's a lot of talent for sure. Not only the freshmen coming in, but some of these guys coming off a red shirt here. Obviously, Nikki being back in the room, Sebastian in the room. There's a lot of good happening right now, so it stinks. I got to believe this is going to happen again, right? They're college students, and as much as we tell them, you can't do this, you can't do that, listen, it's going to happen. And, a little setback isn't the end of the world. It's still September, and that's kind of where we're at right now. But practice has been going good.
Yeah, it's exciting to have everyone back in one spot training again. Guys fitting it in how they could over the summertime, going where they needed to go to, or clubs or hometown gyms or hometown high schools, wherever they were allowed. But it's just nice to see everybody together, whether I'm seeing them on Instagram, Snapchat, in each other's houses, and just hearing from you guys, the coaching staff, about training. It's exciting. And seeing pictures on social media of Soriano and Sebastian together, like, it's exciting as a Rutgers fan, man. And season or no season, there's like the future is so bright, and we're here. And it's like, it's a tough timing for COVID, but all of our fans and even me not being in the room, I'm interested, man. How are those goes going in the room? Obviously, you're probably not scrapping, but it's like, how's the competitive level? What's the ego like in the room right now, like with some of the guys, and what's the attitude in that room right now? Being a very gentle time in society, are guys excited to just get in there and maybe forget about it for an hour and a half or 2 hours and just go?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that, because these guys were going through this where I had to tell them, listen, we're going to shut this thing down through the weekend, at least till Monday, to see where we're at. And they're like, well, can we get in there on our own? Can we train? They all just want to train because we haven't been able to be together. And so now they're in the new facility. They want to continue to go in that facility and train. And so that's a good thing. But it's kind of been like I said earlier on one of our podcasts, it's kind of been, we're going to treat September and October like July and August. So although it's an open room and it's free, there's structure to it. We're teaching, we're talking about position, but we're playing around. We're not really getting after each other. But then the more you let these guys have a free drill, it ends up getting pretty intense, which is great, which is good to see. And I always told you and all the guys I've ever coached, there's nothing wrong with being in great shape now. You could be in great shape now, get in shape, and our guys are trying to do that. So that's the exciting part, man. They're super talented guys. Trying to put freshmen with upperclassmen has been awesome. These upperclassmen have taken to it, and some of our young guys like Johnny Paz, you put him with Grello, that's a normal day anyway. You put Epperly with Janzer, it's a normal day anyway. You put Connor O'Neill with Donner, it's a normal day anyway. These guys can scrap. So it's been good, man. It's been good. These guys are hungry. Just want a season. We want to figure out what we're doing as far as the season goes. Is it January 1st? What does it entail? Is it all Big Ten? Still got to get those questions answered.
Yeah, and it's funny to see. I don't know if you watched the NFL at all last night. To me, it's just crazy to see a little bit some of this stuff, man. Like, as much as I love to follow the rules the government sets in place and do everything that we're supposed to be doing, it's just weird and funny to me to see the NFL just predicament last night, how the coaches on the sideline have masks on, the players don't, the players are helping each other up, the players are interlocking arms with the coaches before the game. The coaches and the players are getting the same test. Why does the coaches have to have a mask on the sideline, but the players don't? The players are sitting next to each other off the sideline without anything on. There's just things that aren't like I was talking to my mom, and she's like, let's shut this whole country down or open it back up. What's it going to be? It's are we making people happy? Are we hiding things? It's just too many variables that are counterparts towards each other.
And listen, I feel the same frustration. I sit here and I watch and right, I'm afraid to say something publicly because then it's Coach Goodale doesn't care for the well-being of others. Coach, he doesn't. It's all about his program.
I said it.
You said it, but I'm frustrated too. We are the Big Ten. That's all I've heard since we joined the conference, how great the Big Ten is. But you're telling me UTEP, Alabama, Birmingham can play football and we can't? Come on. We got the best testing, so I've heard. The Big Ten is so far along. How can Miami of Florida, they just ran through Florida, the COVID. How are they playing football and we're not? So that's me being frustrated. I don't know all the details to it, but it's we're either in or we're not. If we're safe, let's compete. Let's get a schedule. Let's compete. If we have to play football, play ball. People want to see ball. No. So that's where I stand off the record. Clearly, this isn't off the record. So hopefully nobody's really watching this and saying, put me on the fire for it. But that's just the way I feel, man.
I don't want to make the rules, but I just want to say it's frustrating.
Yes,
I want clarity, and I want yes and no. And obviously we can't have that right now with the way things are going and the way things change every week or week to week. So it is hard. And I guess, the best way is just to be frustrated. And for me, even coming to the Rutgers test could be frustrating, but I'm just telling myself, be positive, look at the positive out of it. At least we're here. At least we're able to do things. And, right when my mind starts going to those thoughts where I can't really control those things, it's just combat it with positivity and get through it. And day by day, just one thought leads to the next, and one action leads to the next, and just keep it positive, stay away from the negative. That's the best advice I could really give about it.
Yeah. So we
got a comment for you, and I'm going to guess that, it's not really a conversation you're even having at this point. Mike in the comments wants to talk about the lineup, the schedule, and the wrestle-offs. And, like you're saying, this is June, July preseason training phase right now. So you're in and out every year about whether the team needs a wrestle-off or doesn't need a wrestle-off. And most college teams, those wrestle-offs don't really make the lineup anyway. So where's your stance right now, seeing the guys come in about all those topics?
Yeah, again, there's a lot of questions. Our staff's going to have to sit down and figure out what the season looks like. So he's asking about a schedule. Hopefully January 1st, is it all Big Ten? Are there fans? Are there not fans? Should we wrestle this guy who wants fans? Should we wrestle this guy who probably should take a redshirt year based on it not being a great season? We have to figure all that stuff out. I'm not into wrestle-offs. I don't want to do wrestle-offs. I'd rather go to an open tournament. Do we even have open tournaments? Right? You have a wrestle-off. One guy loses. He thinks that's it. I'm out of the lineup. Let me go somewhere else. So there's no sense having a wrestle-off.
Yeah.
I don't want that. Our guys compete enough in the room. We train hard. You do it because you want to simulate a match atmosphere. You want to simulate getting down the weight, but it's not the end all. So that's my feeling on wrestle-offs. And as far as our lineup goes, talking about our lineup, again, I don't know who's going to be in that lineup, but you could look at our roster and have a pretty good indication of there's some guys who have no choice. If there's a season, they got to go. So Billy Janzer doesn't have a red shirt here. So I use him as an example at 197. He's going to wrestle regardless of what the season looks like. So he has to wrestle. Joe Grello has to wrestle. These guys don't have a choice if they don't have a red shirt. If they have a red shirt here, like Sammy Alvarez, now that's, do we wrestle Sammy Alvarez? Well, let's redshirt him. That's something the staff and Sammy will have a lot of dialogue on, but we don't know that right now. Somebody's commented on your shirt. Paul Robeson, T.
Legend of Rutgers, if there was ever a first legend, first GOAT, it's probably him, So he set the bar for all of us athletes and all of us students at Rutgers. If you don't know who he is, definitely look him up. And I was fortunate to get an award that was named and honored after him. So definitely keep this shirt on the top of my my hamper, and I try to rock it as often as I can. At this point, I feel like I want to wear shirts, especially because I'm not sponsored by Scrap Life anymore. I just want to wear things. I have so much crap in terms of gear. I just want to wear things that really mean something to me, and that maybe it's going to brighten my mood up or someone else's mood, and maybe it's a present I got from a cousin or something. I just found my wardrobe has been shifting to things like that over the wrestling gear, maybe because I'm not scrapping every day as well. But shout out to Paul Robertson, shout out to Eat Clean Bro. I got one of my sponsors here. Use the code Ashnault15 in your checkout. Get a little discount for yourself. Get that Anthony Ashnault meal.
We're eating that, right? We're back to Eat Clean Bro, getting 5 meals a week.
I saw a huge table when I got there today.
Yeah.
So it looked like the guys are taking 10 meals.
No, that's basically what they're getting. They're getting Eat Clean Bro, and then they're getting a meal from nutrition. It's unbelievable the way ththese guys eat. Holy heck! Yeah. I don't say nothing, but I take some of them too, and I eat them, and I don't tell my wife, but it's pretty good. It's really good. So
it's perfect for lunch. You're on the go.
Yeah.
Dinner, I think a lot of people want to cook, or maybe not college kids, or you're with your family.
Yeah.
But it's definitely perfect for that lunchtime meal for me, breakfast even as well. It's good to see that they're getting bigger and bigger as years go on, man. I remember when Frankie first started with them and was sponsored by them. It's a small little company in Toms River, or wherever Freehold, wherever they were first located out of Jamie's house, maybe. But now they're huge. So it's awesome to see. And hopefully they continue to grow, take over the whole country. I think they're in 4 to 5 states at this point. So hopefully it keeps growing.
Let's shift gears and talk about this Beat the Streets lineup. We had some guys that were asked to do it, and just the timing wasn't really good. But there's some interesting matchups, man. I'm sure you're looking forward to watching those. And do we even know where it's going to take place? I talked to Coach Bono out in Wisconsin. He's coming in on Wednesday, and they're wrestling Thursday. So is it New York City? Is it Hoboken? Is it Jersey? Where are they competing? Do you even know?
Yeah, I don't know where they're competing, but the matchups look great. And on top of that, it's interesting to see that it's on Rockfin and not Flow Wrestling, not a different platform. Rockfin's a platform where they're releasing definitely a bunch of different wrestling and combat athletes media content for $10 a month. You could kind of see anybody's page, but they really haven't been doing live events, and this is one of the first ones.
Is Beat the Streets on Rofkin?
Oh, sorry, that's not Beat the Streets.
That's the Penn State tour,
that one
right?
coming up. That's coming up September 17th. When's Beat the Streets?
I don't know. Next week, maybe the 18th, 19th. I'm not sure.
So those are back to back.
Yeah, they're pretty close to each other for sure.
I was gonna say more though. Just funny to see. You don't see Cal Sanderson advertising or marketing or doing anything, and it's Beat the Streets in this Rockfin event. Beat the Streets, I believe, is on Flow. I'm not starting any drama. I'm just stating what the facts are. Beat the Streets is on Flow, and this Rockfin event is NLVC is sponsoring it, and that's on Rockfin, and it's Penn State. And Cal Sanderson is promoting the heck out of it, tweeting, and he's probably put more tweets out in this last week than he put out his whole life about it.
He's trying to sell that event. It's a pretty good event. They have a pretty good lineup. So
yeah,
it's like I think he wanted to do NLWC versus the world originally, and then that didn't work out, but he got the best around our country. There's some great matchups there. There's some great matchups that beat the street. So I know Yanni's got a big one, and it's a pretty good card. It's just good to see some high level wrestling, you know.
Definitely. So let's go. Tyler Berger is waiting backstage. We could pitch him through and talk about these matchups, and then we'll get on see what he's up to too. But we could bring him in.
Yeah, let's do that.
Tyler Berger, as he's coming on here, man, he just had an all-star match against Joey McKenna, who's a 4-time All-American or 3-time All-American maybe for Stanford. What's up, Tyler?
What's up? Coach?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Tyler just had a great match with Fight TV, UFC Fight Pass. He wrestled Joey McKenna, though, as I was saying, All-American for Stanford, national finalist for Ohio State. Tyler kind of put it on him a little bit. Final scores, I believe, 8-2 or 8-3. And the match was in a cage, which was really cool to see. And, after the match, Berger got on the mic and called the kid out, told the people I was eating too much spaghetti, which was cool. I like that. I like a little fire in my belly, so I like that. It brings a different motivation to me. And Tyler, we're just talking about the matchups coming up right now with Beat the Streets and the Rockfin event. And, you coming off of an event like that, were you asked to maybe participate in one of those events, or were you looking to try to get your name maybe in one of those following that momentum?
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to get in on those events. With this, I mean, it's cool, right? This is uncharted territory kind of for everybody right now with these events coming up and popping up everywhere, with Kale doing his thing, Beat the Streets. Now we're back in that, but it's promoting wrestling and everybody wants to see it. I think the fan base for wrestling is very loyal, and they want to see matchups like me and Joey. We probably won't ever see each other in a tournament. We're not going to see each other at a world team trials or anything like that coming up. But people love to see those interesting matchups. I think Nolf taking the match with Jo was awesome. People love to see that kind of stuff. So, yeah, man, anytime I can get into an event like that with people I'm not going to see, I'm always down to put my foot on the line.
Well, listen, man, we have obviously in New Jersey, we have a ton of respect for you and your career. Awesome competitor, awesome to coach against and watch you your whole career. So to see what you're doing now, and obviously you're in a great situation, a great program. What's it like now out in Lincoln? How is training going with everything going on? You're probably a little bit more ahead of, at least as far as the Nebraska program, you guys are probably a little bit more ahead of everybody else as far as training. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we just got back into our room. So we're splitting practices, keeping everybody safe, cleaning the mats in between practices, and doing temperature checks before. So we're basically back to normal. But yeah, I mean, basically back to normal. What do you guys like over there in Jersey?
We take 2 spit tests a week. Monday and Thursday, we take a saliva test. Results come back in 24 hours. For about 9 days, we had over 200 tests through our program.
Wow.
Since April 24th, and we're all negative. And then we came down with a couple guys, which I knew over Labor Day weekend. I knew that was an issue, right? They're college kids. And so we had 2 freshmen come down with it. And then so we had to kind of shut it down in the last 4 days. So hopefully we'll get back at it Monday or Tuesday of next week. But we're training,
Yeah.
Do you guys have any tests going on over there, or it's just kind of like as long as they're not showing symptoms?
So we don't have so we don't have spit tests, but we're keeping our guys with no symptoms, their temperatures under control. Then we're getting them in the room. But as soon as any kind of symptoms come up, or if they're around somebody who tested positive, obviously they're shut down, keeping that safe. Because we known guys that have been positive and then people around them are negative, and then all of a sudden 7 days later those guys come up positive because of the results. It takes some time to kick in before you actually show that you're positive. So as far as safety is concerned, if you're around somebody, then we lock them down until we know that it's safe for them to come back.
Let me go back to a couple weeks ago. You're preparing, you're training, and then you have to wrestle in a cage. Did you prepare for that, or did you just prepare just your wrestling workouts and whatever the case might be? And what was it like wrestling in that cage?
Yeah, so I mean, not to give too many tips in case this future matchup comes up with.
Let's go. Let's go.
No, it's so yeah. We prepared a little bit, and by a little bit, I mean 5 to 10 minutes one day with the guy up against the wall. I mean, it's so basically what they said when we came in too was it's a practice room match. So you hit the cage, you're gonna act like it's the wall, and you keep wrestling until you get your points. And so as far as that goes, we've all been there, whether it's into bikes or bleachers or a wall. Guys know how to continue to wrestle. So it wasn't that big of a change. It's smaller. The cage is smaller than what you think. That was probably the biggest difference.
Yeah, and just knowing like your style and like in a way your attitude when you compete, like it just seems like it would translate very well to wrestling in a cage. You know, you're forward, you're offensive, and you're just like aggressive. Like whether it's your hand fight or your actual attacks, you're aggressive. And like the single legs you got on Joey McKenna, like by the time you drove him into the cage, like just being like physical and the way you are as a person almost like led to those finishes. Like he's really tough and he's really, really good wrestler, but you know, you just might be a little meaner. And I think those opportunities showed when like you got to the cage, you're like, screw this. I'm going to keep running my feet. I'm going to sit him. I'm going to find a way to score. And, you know, I'm pretty good in the wrestling room in those situations too. I'm just saying, I think it'll be a great matchup. You know, you run me into that cage. Like, let's see what happens. I might run up it a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm pretty strong, and like you said, aggressive, and I think that's something that the nuance of a cage is. It's gonna favor the more aggressive wrestler. The passive push out isn't really a thing anymore. So you get up against a cage, and there's that added element of if you get your back on a cage, it's hard to not get lifted up to your feet. And so there's always a little bit of that danger. There's no chest wrap up against a cage. There's no front headlocks up against a cage. So
it's cool.
Yeah, man. And that's something that as far as upcoming matches, I know that your style goes well with my style, and there could be some fireworks if we step in there.
I think the attitudes match up very similar, and the tech and the stylistically very similar. So I'm down, bro. Let's get it going. And like we talked separately, I need a little time, maybe something in like December. That'd be great. But you know, like what do you walk around at? What was that weight class that you guys competed at?
We wrestled at 159. I'm not very big. I'm actually 165, 166. Yeah, I don't get that big. So I'm naturally a 70 kilos guy. Yeah. So 74 is pretty easy for me. I know you. So I actually didn't know you were making that transition down to 65. So wherever that middle ground is for you.
I mean, that's perfect. I mean, as long as you're being honest and you're not coming down from like 75, I'm game, bro. Like, but people don't believe me, and I'm sure you too, because you're big and you're a little taller than me. Like people don't believe me. I'm like, I weigh 153, 155. They're like, no, you don't. I'm like, okay, whatever. I know I'm strong and I know I might be able to compete with you, but that's what I weigh. Like, and it's awesome to me because I'm like, yeah, I must look big. Yeah, I don't know though, but I'd like to run it, man. 55, 57. That sounds fine. Make it your college weight. Make it 70 kilograms. We should hit up Uncle Chael and get that going.
You know, I'm down, man. That's I think our fan bases will get into it too. I think sometimes the fan base over on your side gets more into it than the actual wrestlers.
we got a cult. We got a cult over here.
It took a while to build that.
That's what Yeah, for sure. That's the great
thing.
Are
they? Is anyone DMing you or anything? Or you're good on that? No one's threatening you, right?
No DMs. I got a couple guys hitting me up on Twitter. You know, I got more from them than I actually do from you and me, which is great because the thing that they don't realize is they don't get to step in the cage, and thankfully for them, you know, they get to sit on the couch and watch. So
going in that cage, I don't know if you ever had the interest, but did it make you want to maybe transition or have some interest in maybe cross training and with mixed martial arts, or one day seeing yourself step in a cage for real and maybe doing UFC or Bellator or another promotion?
It sparks the interest, right? The paychecks are over in fighting. So who knows? Who knows? I've never had the background as far as jiu-jitsu or boxing, so it would take some time. You start to see these guys like Meredith, or I know Johnny DeJulius is starting to mess around with it. Obviously, Richie Lewis is big into it right now. Even Richie said something about wrestling under submission underground, and I had to hit him up and say, bro, like, I've never even messed around with it. And yeah, it's no fun for a fan if I go out there and I get choked out in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So I would need some training. I'm not going to take a match that I know I'm going to lose, but hey, if I get training, yeah, exactly. Get some training and get some experience under my belt.
Yeah.
What are you?
We could.
What is your plans right now for the next 3 or 4 months? Is there a competition you're training for at this point? You know, where are you at with your training, and is it the trials? Is that your next event, or where do you go from here?
So, I mean, there's been a lot of talk with certain events coming up with different areas of whether it's with Flow or some other. There's just speculation, and I think something that I've seen with these events is finding a guy that says yes, they want to wrestle. Then, okay, can we find a weight that we want to wrestle at? And then obviously now we have the money issue of some guys want more money. Some guys are just willing to step in and scrap. So once all those three can kind of get fit together, then an event like that can happen. But maybe thinking about going to the senior nationals, not totally sure right now. Seems like it's going to be more of an NCAA tournament than anything else.
That's what it looks like. You're right.
Those events, it seems like people sign up or just kind of go and sign up there. Those event lists, I feel like, are never full until it gets really close anyway. But it's just like the highest level guys don't really see benefit, I feel like, to it, or no prize, no reward. You know, it's cool to go compete, but with all these opportunities like Rockfin and Beat the Streets and Fight TV and UFC Fight Pass, you know, there's opportunities. Obviously, not everyone gets those opportunities, but they're there. And if you could collect a paycheck off of one of those, compared to going to the US Open, which should mean more, and not even getting a paycheck if you win it or take second or take third, which is crazy, or not even knowing if you'll be able to represent America because apparently they're not going to send a team to the World Championships. It's like, okay, is it really worth it? Let me just keep training. Let me get better. Let me get a really good matchup, build my brand, and I'll be ready in April for the next year for Olympic trials.
I couldn't agree more. And that's something that, I mean, we're professional athletes at this point where, you know, to go from just training and getting better into I'm going to compete, it's a totally different mindset. You're getting your body ready to go. You're cutting weight. You're starting to be more selective with what you do. You're not like experimenting with different things as much. You know, you got to really hone in, and that's valuable time that you can train and you can get better. And obviously, yeah, with the money aspect of things, it's always good to get paid to do what you want to do. And with this, there's not even a spot to get to the Olympic trials, you know, so there's really no incentive if you're out of college. There's really just the Olympic red shirt.
Right. So, you know, let's transition a little here. I don't want to keep you all day. You know, Coach Gooddale's a busy guy. It's tough to get him on the show. But, you know, you're training at Nebraska. You came from Oregon. You're an Oregon legend. Is it Oregon or Oregon?
Oregon, man.
Sorry about that.
Oregon.
You're an Oregon legend. You know, my good friend Eliezer DeLuca, I think, is a little jealous of you and has maybe hatred from just being in the same neck of the woods. But you're just a legend, kind of similar to my story, man. Just you came out of there, but you went to Nebraska. And my question more is, what's it like? You went to Nebraska. You got to be a part of something so special, and you're kind of like that workout partner for Burroughs and James Green and Schneider, and you're like their go-to guys in a little bit. Like it's you three as athletes. It really seems that way. How did that come to be when you first came to campus? Like, did you just try to constantly surround yourself, like asking them as a freshman, like, hey, you want to go today? Hey, you want to go today? And like, I know you're a chippy kid. Like, I'm sure you wanted to prove yourself and show that you did belong. And on top of that question, like, just take me through a little bit from being a freshman and getting your foot in the door with those guys and showing that you belong all the way to now, where I'm sure some of those guys are your best friends.
Yeah, for sure. So right at the first decision of coming to Nebraska, I wanted to be in the Big Ten, wanted to be under Jordan Burroughs and James. And yeah, you were right. As soon as I stepped on campus, I think it was summer workouts, first day, first week, whatever it was, I was trying to get a hold of James, Jordan. At that time, there was big dogs. Like Soufflon was one of the best guys in the room. And I wanted to surround myself with them. And the first time I wrestled JB, I remember I took a shot. I hit what I thought was a wall. And I remember stars lit up. He passed the corner, picked me up in a double, dropped me on my head. And I was just like, whoa, this is a whole different world. But so I actually just had this conversation yesterday on a podcast, is you start to see with freshmen of, as far as attitude, guys that can get just lit up in the room and badly, like embarrassingly bad. And I come from a state where I was a 4-time state champ. I was one of the best guys in the state and always in the room. And then you come in and you're not even a blimp on the radar, and the guys that can enjoy that truly love what our sport is about and like enjoy that aspect of there's something a little dark about getting beat up and having that like, okay, here we go. I'm going to come back the next day. And then it's an excitement of, oh, I got to his leg. I didn't finish, but I got to his leg. And then it's, okay, I got my first takedown on him. And then you just start to build and build and build. And that was my process, throughout all of college. And freshman year, I wanted to be a national champ every year. But then I wasn't an All-American my first year. So then the next year, it's like, okay, I got on the podium my sophomore year. Now it's like, okay, I'm chasing the national title. Missed that my senior year. But now it's like, okay, all that doesn't matter because now I'm going for a world team. You beat me out on the world team spot. It's going to be the Olympics in 2024. You beat me there. I'm going to go until I get you. I'm just going to outlast. And so that was the mentality throughout my whole career. And obviously having James and Jordan, Snyder, all those guys as mentors and, yeah, like you said, friends. And I get to see how they react to adversity. And I've gotten to see Jordan lose in the Olympics. I got to see James take silver in 2017. Like, those are big moments for them in their life and their career. And I got to see how they reacted to it and continue to grow. So, I've only been able to exponentially grow just by learning from them.
Where you're at now, and that's an awesome answer because I wanted to know that. Great question, National. But where you're at now, what you're going through, do you see those freshmen? Because you guys get a lot of good guys coming in, and we're in a lot of recruiting battles with Nebraska, and there's a lot of good guys that go out there. But can you tell the freshmen that are going to be able to make it from catching beatings and the ones that kind of fade?
You're on staff, volunteer assistant, or you're a second assistant?
Volunteer assistant.
Yeah. So I didn't say that in your intro, but yeah, man, on top of all this stuff, competing,
you're on staff.
You're on staff right now, so you have even an inside scoop on that.
How are those guys handling it, and do you see it? Like, you could tell, and you guys may sit in a staff meeting, you're telling Coach Madden, this guy's going to be really good because he's tough, he's getting his head beat in, but he keeps coming, or Coach, this guy's might not make it. Where are you at with that? You see it.
For sure. You start, it's like little things, you start to get into the grind of workouts, or the guys that, just the way that they drill, even I can tell their attitude towards drilling and towards different positions and wanting to learn and trying to soak everything up, body language. And when workouts start to get tough, when they get ran into the wall, we had a kid the other day who wrestled me and JB, and he was a little down on himself, and he was like, man, I just don't feel like I was be like, listen, you just wrestled the two best guys in our room. Like, it's okay not to score that day. But mentality wise, I think you start to see it easier, especially when you're one of those guys that thinks of himself that way. Like, the way I think of myself, obviously Burroughs is a killer, and Snyder, and Manning, obviously he's there's something wrong in his head. That's why he's been so successful. So we can all see it. And then the guys that are maybe lagging behind, you got to start to get in their head a little bit, start to bring them off to the side and start to give them a little bit better perspective of, listen, this isn't high school anymore. You gotta find ways to love. We call it the grind. You know, everyone calls it the grind, but like nobody wants to be in it when you're actually the guy that's not on the winning side of it. So yeah, just building that up, and culture obviously has a lot to do with it. If you have a culture that promotes it and supports it and embraces that, then I think guys start to fall in line a lot easier.
Yeah, I see it in you, man. Pretty much all your actions that you do, man, that are publicly like, you know, some people probably get on you for tweeting about getting off social media when you were going to wrestle Noel for your senior year. And, you know, just hearing your story a little bit more clearly for the first time here, bro, like, I respect that. And I could see it in you, just who you are as a person. Like, you don't care, man. And that it's such a similar feeling I have in my career. I feel like we're very, very similar in that aspect. You know, like I get knocked down 9 times. I'm getting up 10. I'm coming in your face. Like I really don't like, I care what happens and the outside variables, but deep down in my gut, I know what I'm here to do. And it's to like compete, to influence other people in wrestling, to go coach afterwards. And, you know, like that's what I'm going to do until the wheels fall off. Just like you're saying, like I might not outlast you, but you know, I'm going to go until the wheels fall off. And I love that tweet when you said like, I'm getting on social media and you best believe like I'm killing everyone in the next 59 days. And yes, that includes you too, Jason Nolf. Like, yeah, it's not about going to actually accomplishing those things, but it's about setting your mind. It is about setting your mind and going 100% and putting your head down and really going all out towards it. And then you start learning those lessons. Like, yeah, maybe the journey is better than the destination. And it's about the journey, not the destination. And man,
for sure,
my dad's been telling me that my whole life, but it took times like that where, you know, I just like you're saying, I thought I was ready to win a national title freshman through junior year, but I obviously wasn't. And it's like when you go all out for a goal and you don't accomplish it, you realize like, okay, like it's still cool. I still want to go do that. I still want to go all out. I still want to beat that guy. I still want to do whatever it may be. And it's important that maybe you do get a little discouraged at some points. You're going to have hiccups, but you know, you just focus on that long-term, that long-term goal or whatever you want to call it, what you want to get after, or what you want to do in life. And just keep putting your head down, being positive, like I was saying to coach, and go after it, man.
I love that, man. That's exactly what it was. And yeah, people obviously in the moment gave me a hard time for that tweet or, you know, the backlash from it. But for me, so, I mean, a couple different angles of it was one, you got to look at it for kids looking up, like you can't go into the NCAA tournament thinking you're going to lose, you know, like I'm not going in there to take second place to Jason Nolf. And so for me, like I told people, like, I truly thought I was going to win that match. He could have beat me 10 times that year, and I was still going into the next one thinking, yeah, this one's going to be the time I get him. So there was that aspect of it. And then, two, I always love a little chaos as far as social media goes because it's easy. You know, it's easy to start the plan, and so people buy into it. And then, yeah, man, like and then the third is Jason Nolf was one of the best college wrestlers of all time. So I get into these guys, like I'll look up social medias. I try to figure out what these guys like, who their girlfriend is, what they eat, what's their hobbies on the weekends. I knew Jason Nolf wasn't a partier. I knew he was doing the right things. I knew he was a hard worker. I was like, okay, how can I find an angle? If there's a way to get into this guy's head, which way is going to be it? You know, and I tried basically all of them. And that was just a last, like, okay, let's see if it works. And, you know, it obviously didn't. But moving forward, we can keep fine-tuning it and tweaking it, and I'll figure it out.
I think on top of that, it makes you be like, I'm going to double down here, bro. I've been doing everything I could, but, you know, you always have more. So it's like I'm a double down. I'm a triple down. You know, I'm going to get this extra lift after practice, or I'm going to be thinking about Nolf every freaking double I hit, and I'm going to slam him in the wall or whatever it may be. And, you know, just hearing you talk about it gets me excited. You know, I think about maybe times in middle school when people counted me out or said I wouldn't be able to be a state champ as a freshman. It's like those are thoughts that just fueled me forever. Like, and it's fine that people don't believe in it. It's my dream, not yours.
I just want you to know when you put that tweet out, because you're around Jordan, right? And obviously Jordan's a Jersey guy and we know him real well. And when he started doing that with the Olympics, all I see is gold. Whether he's trying to make himself believe it or not, he ended up doing it. So I'm like, this guy's around Jordan. He truly believes he's going to win this match. He throws this out there. Everything's going into this match. So there was a part of me like he can do it. If there's one guy that's going to do it, it's going to be him. So that's kind of the way I felt about it.
I appreciate that. And that, you have to have, like, I don't care if I lose kind of mentality of, like, it is a lot about the process, and it is a lot about having that mentality of, you take me down once, twice, 3 times, it doesn't matter, and especially in a folk style match, you're only up 3 points if you take me down 3 times and I get an escape. I get 1 takedown and an escape in the second. We're tied up, And so a lot of guys don't understand that. A lot of guys are scared to lose. They're scared of the embarrassment of losing. It doesn't matter. You can just go on to the next thing and figure it out, and those lessons start to carry off into life a lot more than what people think just right in the moment.
Yeah, it makes me think about, like, I tell kids all the time that maybe aren't as talented yet or wrestling a guy that they're really nervous that's better than them. I'm like, you don't have to be better than this guy to beat him. Like, you have to work really hard, be in really good shape, better shape than him, and you got to be willing to, like, put your best effort out there and have a good game plan. Like, you could be a little, like, not as good as somebody and still win that match, especially in folk style, like you're saying. Like, there's so many times in college where the best guy doesn't win. The best guy doesn't even make it to the national tournament or start in his roster. We've had so many guys come through Rutgers that were the top 5 guys in the room that didn't even make it through their freshman year of college. So it's like, you don't have to be the best, but it's like, you could still go win. You could still be the best.
Yep, absolutely. And it takes a little bit of a inflated confidence in yourself, of there's so much confidence and belief in who you are and what you can do. And a lot of people get discouraged. They lose and they get discouraged. They put their head down. And that was something like Coach, like what we're talking about with freshmen, is those guys get beat and then their confidence just goes down the drain and they forget who they are as an athlete and just like moving forward with things, and they put their head down and they get mopey, and then the hammer's going to come in and they're not going to stop. Those guys are going to get ran down into the wall. And then the guys that can get beat up but can see down the line and have this confidence that most other people are going to be like, I don't think you're that good. Those are usually the guys that end up coming. I mean, look at Jordan. JB, nobody thought that guy was going to be a world champ in 2011.
Yeah.
No. That came out.
What I'm thinking about. I know.
Most people probably thought he wouldn't be a national champion in college leaving New Jersey.
Exactly.
So here's what I want to know. When did the switch flip for you? When did you know I'm in the middle of this freshman year? Was it before that? Was it a redshirt year that, like, listen, I'm going to be really good? Or was it a match? Did you have to beat somebody? And I can't remember. I know you had a lot of wins in our conference, but off the top of my head, was there one match like, this is it, I belong, I can win a national title right now?
Yeah, man. I mean, so my freshman year, I got a big win kind of right away with Mitch Minotti. That's when I was like, okay, this guy was already a 2-time. I think he was my first All-American I ever beat. And that's to kind of spark some things. And then just moving forward, plugging away, I'm trying to think. I can't really think of one moment. And it was more a day-to-day thing. My sophomore year, I think I had a really good year as far as my win-losses and taking 3rd at Big Tens and then 3rd in the NCAAs or 5th at the NCAAs my sophomore year. And it was just a plugging away every kind of day thing. But that's the thing is I could never get too inflated on where I was at in my career because I had JB and James beat me up. There was times when moving into the NCAAs where I was getting tech fouled by James the week before, or there's guys beating the crap out of me right before I'm supposed to go win a national title. So it was you get the high of winning, and then I would get crushed in the room. Or even Coach Snyder Coach Snyder beat me in a match going into my senior year of college. Like, that was an NCAA runner-up, and my 30 match, that would almost put my head through the wall. I was like, what the heck is happening? But,
those guys are crazy, man. They're still good. Like Pritzloff is still really, really good. Nobody could beat him. So I'm assuming Snyder's kind of the same way. Like, you can't beat those guys for whatever reason.
Yeah. I mean, now I could put it on him. He's got a kid and he's 41. He's starting to slow down a little bit, but
don't let him hear you say that.
Did you ever feel around national tournament Big Ten time those guys like start like letting you get a couple takes here and there? Or
Yeah, dude, I can't stand that kind of stuff.
Me too. I remember going with Pritzloff a couple times, being like, "Can you like fight?" Like,
I would rather get beat up than somebody give me a takedown.
Yeah,
Run me through the wall before you give me a takedown.
Definitely. I got one last one for you. So you probably know this, but wrestling is really big in Jersey. It's a big deal on our campus. It shouldn't be, right? Football should run the show, and basketball is really starting to come on. That should run the show. But wrestling's been a pretty big deal with our fan base, and we were fortunate to wrestle in front of 6,000 to 8,000 on any given night. I know Nebraska, it's all about football. Where does wrestling stand? You guys have been so consistent and so darn good for so darn long. Where does that stand with your fan base, your administration? Is it happening? Is it a big deal on campus? Where are you guys at with that?
Yeah, I think in years past, maybe not as much, but I think we're starting to see a change in our program and the fan base. And so last year we had 2 big duels with Penn State and Ohio State and had record-breaking crowds. Almost hit 6,000 with, I believe it was Penn State, and came down to the last match. We had a spotlight. It was lights out performance. Obviously we beat Ohio State with a walk-off pin. And I think that kind of lighted something that started to change here in Nebraska. So moving forward, man, I think our team's getting better, and the fan base is starting to get behind us, and we're going to start to see, just like in Rutgers, I love going out and competing with you guys because, like you said, your guys' crowd was lights out. You guys are awesome. They're rowdy. They're mean. They're going to get into – they know wrestling, so they know when to start yelling and start booing for a stall call, and the tide starts to change. And I think we're just starting to see that here in Nebraska.
Yeah,
that's exciting, man. I hope you guys continue to grow that, because it makes a difference on recruits. I mean, everyone in Division I thinks they want to be national champ, world champ, Olympic champ, but it makes a difference for some of those guys making that decision. Maybe they're going to Penn State and Iowa and Nebraska, or Penn State, Iowa and Rutgers, when they see those crowds and compare. Like, it makes every little thing counts, man. We just got a brand new facility. It makes a difference. I mean, as much as maybe half of the guys wanted to come to Rutgers for that grittiness and for that old school mentality, like the new athlete wants to be on social media, wants to be in the spotlight, wants to have that R Vision interview every Friday afternoon, and they want to be the guy. And, everyone's different, but they got to cater to those kind of people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Optics is everything, man. How people view your program and what they think of facilities and culture of the team and where they see themselves on the big stage. Like, those are good things to have, because when you're not wrestling in front of a crowd and then all of a sudden you hit Carver Hawkeye or you hit the NCAA finals, it's a whole different field, man. There's butterflies that you've never felt before when you start to step into those kind of arenas.
No doubt.
Yeah. So let's wrap this up with you here, man. I'll leave you with this. We got the Rockfin, we got the Beat the Streets matches coming up. Any one matchup you're looking forward to in those events?
Always love watching Nolf. Gotta love watching Yanni, man. That guy is lights out. He's always there to impress people, and he puts it on the line. So I'm looking forward to watching him wrestle at Beat the Streets. I can't wait.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on. We got to get that match, man. I would like it to be 155 if you could get down. If not, I could make a few pound exception for sure. But
yeah, man, we can negotiate.
I would love to scrap, bro. I'll get excited hearing you talking. I want to take it. I want to take that matchup for sure.
Yeah,
so let's get that going, and we appreciate you coming on, bro. I mean, I think that you just gained some fans, bro. Some Rutgers fans for sure, especially people that you're saying that are coming at you, man. Like, they're as passionate as they are. They just love good people and good wrestling. So you probably just gained some of those people as some of your fans. So thanks for coming on, man. You want to leave us with anything?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. The only other thing is Coach Schneider told me that the sandwiches are better across the state border in PA.
Oh,
that's the only thing he told me to tell you.
No, he's crazy. No. The food is incredible here. You know that, Berger. Snyder.
Tell him to come over. I'll have my mom make him some spaghetti and meatballs, maybe a little penne alla vodka.
Listen,
you could come on
when this
over
all clears up, we got to get you out here to train a little bit, and then we'll send Anthony out there as well. So This will be a good relationship.
Awesome.
You guys
Let's
will
do it.
scrap, and then we'll go our separate ways and do our thing. Sound good?
For sure.
Absolutely.
You're the man, Berger. Appreciate you, buddy.
Coach. Let's do it.
All right.
Yep. Thanks for having me. We'll see you guys
dude.
later.
See, I like that. That's the stuff I like, man. Guys, we compete against hard, and when you're preparing for them,
100%.
you don't like him. Like when Richie's getting ready to wrestle him, I don't like him, but he's a good dude. He's got an awesome head on his shoulders. I respect that team. I'm not a fan of any other team, right? We're trying to beat them, but man, I respect what Manning does at Nebraska, and he friggin' answered that question about fans so well. I would hope he was going to say, nah, they don't really follow wrestling out here. You know, it's more football, but he answered it the right way, and they do a great job. It's a really, really good program. I respect what they do for sure.
Yeah, it's exciting to hear his story. You know, like I think me personally, like you get surprised. You know, guys are chippy, but I'm chippy and you're chippy as well. Like you forget these people are just people, and you know, it's good to hear their story and just know that he's just another guy that wants to accomplish his goals and his dreams, and he's gonna go do everything he can to do that.
They're good people. I love Snyder.
You know,
Great guy. He's from Easton, PA, which you know that. Probably the people listening don't, but Snyder's from Easton, PA. He's been out in Nebraska ever since he went there. So he's like Donnie, man. Those two, though, they're very similar. And every major coaching job that comes up, those two are probably the first two being called, right? Pritzloff and Snyder. So two of the best young coaches in this country. And I would have liked to ask him, I probably should have, what his future looks like. Is it in coaching? Does it continue to train? I would assume since he's already a volunteer, he probably wants to stay in coaching, but that's something I probably should have asked him.
Yeah, and the way just seems like he didn't even have like he wrestled in that cage, but you know, he never thought about it before. So seems like his thoughts were heading towards competing than coaching, but you know, that's a question for him to answer. And I'm getting texts from some of my friends and not even in the comments, just the people that are scared, I guess, to come on and comment. Mikey Simmons, you know, come on, show your face. But he just says Berger was great. And you know, like last night we're talking and he's like, why are you having Berger on? And then it's like today he's like, Berger's great. It's like those are things that, you know, I want to see out of people. I want to see them make that like 180 in my own mind, or I want to be proved wrong, and I want to learn things. And I definitely learned something from that and just hearing them talk. But, you know, getting back to those beat the streets mats and Rockfin matches like we were talking before, I asked him a little bit. I pulled some of the matchups up on my phone just to go through a little bit of them. But, you know, some of the matches are a little lopsided in my mind. But, you know, there are some good ones. I don't know all the girls competing in the Beat the Streets, but, you know, the big one at Beat the Streets is Yanni versus Cinciavili. And, you know, I think I got Yanni in that match, but it's very like similar styles in the way that Yanni wrestles like a foreign wrestler, and very kind of counter offense and defensive. So it should be interesting. And I think it'll be a lot of scrambles, but I see Yanni kind of coming out on most of those scrambles.
Is he even bigger now? Is that where he wrestles? I mean, I don't even know what weight he's wrestling now.
I mean, he competed a lot at 61 kilograms, and, you know, 61 to 65. I don't think
no, it's a really good match. I think Yanni's just too much. Like, I just think
most of the guys that go 61 kilograms, I think are the same size as a 65 kilogram guy.
Yeah, probably too much, but you never know. And are these guys going to come? Are they in great shape? Where are they at? But Yanni's in shape, so he's probably a little bit too much. I'm interested in Cologne and Gross. I could probably imagine where Seth Gross is at with his training and being always ready to compete. But you know, we haven't seen Cologne in a while. You know, it's been a while since we've seen him, and maybe the last Beat the Streets match is the one he wrestled. So where's he at? Is he ready to compete? I'm interested because I think that guy's awfully dangerous, man. I really do.
Joe's ready to compete. He could, and I'm talking a little bit for him because I met him like one time on a trip. We wrestled at Pan Am's together, and you know, just knowing him, man, he's very intense, man. He could not train for the whole month leading up to the match. You know that dude's going to bring the heat. He's going to come for 6 minutes. Whatever kind of shape he's in, it doesn't matter. That kid is one of those kids that you just, you know, like we say, a gamer. But I bet he practices very similar. But, you know, he's just a gamer, man. When it was time for practice, like we'd be in Argentina, we're going to practice, man. It was like he's another person. You can't almost, I felt like I didn't even want to talk to him. He was just like, couldn't joke with him. Like you could, but he just like gets in that zone as some competitors do, especially combat athletes. He just like he gets into that zone where you think he wants to rip someone's head off, and you could kind of see that in his eyes. So I never count him out. And going against a guy like Seth Gross, I like the matchup for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't shock me at all, man. I just think the one thing when Suriano wrestled Colon, Nick is such a position freak that it was hard for Joe. Seth Gross will be all over the place, right? And he'll throw the kitchen sink because he doesn't care. But this guy's so dangerous, and I'm not picking either one. There's going to be opportunities for him to score, which I think he likes. I remember those matches with Nashan where they're 16-15 and things like that. I think that's a benefit for him, and I just think I think he'll have some big moves. And one thing is he can pin you. He can headlock you. He can throw you. He can pin you. So I'm not saying he's going to win. I'm just saying
dirty body lock.
That's the match I look forward to the
body
most.
Lock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that like a 15-10.
Yeah. Big body locks, right? Double the body locks all the time.
Someone going down 7-2, 7-0, coming back second period, 13-10. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, and then there's a lot of girls matches, which is great, and female matches. And, let's do our part as a community to tune into those matches and really pay attention, because I think, all these people want to grow wrestling, and all these social media people are talking about the girl wrestling in general. Like, I'll be honest, man, I need to watch more of it. I need to surround myself around it. I need to learn who these girls are and how they compete and what they're like. You could name any of these guys on the list, and I could be like, well, he's a single guy. He's a high crotch guy. He's a defensive wrestler. I'm not the most knowledgeable in female wrestling, and I got to do my part. I'm going to tune into those matches, and moving forward with these events, I'm going to do my part to try to learn the sport of female freestyle wrestling just as much as I know men's. And the same thing with.
Yep, I think it's you guys are on to something. You and Berger, like, these events may become more important than maybe senior nationals. You know what I mean? It's a 1v1. It's a one match thing. There's a payday to it. You might see guys doing more of that. And then of course you gotta go to the trials, right? You got to go to U.S. nationals on certain years. You got to qualify. But I think these events are maybe the way this sport starts to go here for a little bit, because they're, like he says, you find a guy that you find a catch weight, and next thing you know, there's something interesting about it. So he might be right. He might have something to it.
There's a reason why these other promotions in combat sports are promotions, and they're separate organizations, and they are a world champ of the Bellator, a world champ of the UFC, but there's other promotions where you could be a world champ. So it's like boxing at the same thing. And is it going to be more beneficial for wrestling to move to a platform where it is like that? And it also gives a lot of people a chance to get into wrestling jobs or wrestling professions. Like, we're opening up jobs, we're opening up markets for our niche. So it's good, it's bad. I've always wanted to be a world and Olympic champ, and that's the highest level in my mind. I don't think that'll ever change in my lifetime, in my own perception. Maybe it will change, but my perception, if you want to be the best wrestler, you got to go compete at the world tournament, at the Olympic tournament, and you got to win it. But the way things are going, it does seem like these smaller promotions are starting to do their own thing, and they definitely want to put the money behind it to do their own thing. So let's see what happens with it. We got other matchups in Rockfin. The Rockfin Nittany Lion Wrestling Club putting together an event, and that's some good matchups as well. One I'm looking forward to that's happened a couple times, Gilman versus Cruz. And I always like that matchup because Cruz upset Gilman in the national tournament at 125 when, Gilman's one of the best wrestlers, probably not have a national title. And Cruz won a national title that year. He beat him, crazy upset in the semis, takedown in the last couple seconds to tie it, takedown in overtime, and he was kind of, even though it was only 2-1 the whole match or 3-1, he was getting dominated, and he got dominated most of the other matches, and he beat him. And every time I see that matchup, I have thoughts of putting myself in Gilman's shoes, and no matter how many times Gilman probably beats him after that match, I think he gears up. And he's the kind of kid. I met him. We've hung out a couple times, and I just know he's probably gearing up for this one. And no matter how many times he beats him or gets that opportunity again after that national tournament, it weighs heavy in his heart. That match,
no doubt. You're right. It's probably something he thinks about every time he puts his foot on the line with Cruz. He's a competitor too, man. And I want to go off gear here, get off the card a little bit, because speaking of 57 kilos and Gilman and Cruz, Dayton Fix story this week that came out. I probably won't comment on it. What are your thoughts? And what do you, is that something that happened? Like where are you at with that whole thing?
Of course, I want to comment because I'm a clean athlete, man. I don't plan on ever doing anything illegal. But the day and age, man, like there's so many supplement companies, and there's so many proteins, and there's so many BCAAs or different kind of amino acids, and it just takes going to GNC and getting the wrong brand to fail for the wrong thing. And obviously, the story came out what the story was, and I could go over the story a little bit. The story seems a little fishy. It seems like people are making memes like Dayton just went to the fridge and the dad put something in his drink called it was an Osterine chemical.
What is that?
Is that and
like a steroid?
It's supposedly it makes your bones smaller and denser and your muscle mass bigger. So I guess it would keep your weight at relatively the same weight and just improve things like your muscle and make your bones way less. I'm not really sure. I'm not the doctor on it, but just from the social media and research I looked at, that's what it looked like.
Good. I'm trying to look it up to really be educational about it. But.
Yeah, but as an athlete, like as where I'm at in my career, and even the moment I left for college, my athletic career was in my own hands. It was my fate. It wasn't my dad's, wasn't my brother's, wasn't my coach's, wasn't my teammates. It was my fate, and I was going to control it, and I still feel that way. So it's like you could point blame, and maybe your dad's telling you, I'm going to take the blame. I don't know what the situation is, but it's like if I make that mistake down the line and I'm in a situation that he's in, I hope I hold myself to the word where I'm going to admit it. I'm going to come out. I'm going to say, this is what happened. I did this, and if it's a 1 year, if it's a 2 year, if it's a 3 year suspension, that's something I got to live with because I made the mistake. But supposedly he took a lie detector test. I saw, so it's like I don't know. Maybe he's telling the truth. We don't really
who
know.
Knows?
Like
who knows? But
it's a deep story. I think it's more interesting if you go down the line of the recent Oklahoma State guys that were on big teams. A lot of them failed. Obi Blanc, Dayton Fix. There was a list. There was like 6 guys.
I saw that
in the last 10 years. Jordan Oliver. So in my mind, I don't want to badmouth anyone, but what are those coaches telling those athletes? Are they making it seem like they could get around the rules, and as long as they're not coming across as a positive test, like it's everything's cool, everything's okay? What's the culture like there right now? And that's some of the questions.
Yeah, I see. That's what sucks for me because my profession, and John Smith is obviously the biggest name in our sport, and Coach Perry and Esposito we're friends with, and there's no way. I won't believe it. I don't think those guys are telling certain guys to do certain things. There's just no way. And maybe I'm naive, but I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, but I don't think that either. I love that. I
know, and those guys are just good dudes.
I loved it. John Smith's one of my heroes, man. I look at his matches as for inspiration now. I'm just saying the facts of what they are. There's statements. Apparently there's statements that Chris Perry, which was one of the coaches, was saying to do this supplement. And I don't know if that's true. But these are things that are getting thrown around on social media. So it just makes you question those things. And I really hope a whole full circle story comes out that they get obviously they got to state their point of view. It's on Oklahoma State's website. If you want to go look at it, they have an official.
What does that mean for the NCAA? Does that affect his NCAA, or does it affect USA Wrestling? I have no idea. And for the record, I don't want it to affect his NCAA, his career there. I want him to be able to wrestle because obviously that affects us a great deal. And, our guy wants to beat the best guy. So who knows what it means for his eligibility NCAA wise.
Well, the suspension, he got super lucky. It's up to February.
But worst case, he can wrestle in the Big 12s and the national tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good timing for him. And it's funny. I've seen a couple memes. Did you see the one meme where Soriano it says like started here, where he's like they say he's pulling his headgear in the finals, and like this is where it went downhill, or someone put that. So just like there's some funny humorous stuff as well going around. And I kind of like Berger's talking about, like as a wrestling fan and growing up with social media, I kind of love that stuff. I want to go on social media and I want to see wrestling drama. I I don't want to have to watch Bravo to get my drama. I want to have to go on Twitter and see the wrestling world blow up. And also I want to see wrestling growing, just like these cards that we got. So it's cool for me, man, as long as the headlines for me are staying positive.
That's
but,
important.
You know,
Yep, that's important.
It is what it is. Any kind of, I guess, publicity is good publicity as long as you could spin it that way. But hopefully Dayton Fix gets past this, and you know he finds himself through this whole process, and he's a freaking great wrestler. So I think he's gonna have no problem figuring out the wrestling part. Hopefully this other stuff works itself out.
We got a question: are the new guys impressed by the new facility? Our new guys, is it making a difference with their training? No. I mean, they're wrestling on mats, and there's a lot more toys to play with, but the new facility is incredible. It's been there years. The guys who are in our program, for the most part, have been in our Scarlet Knight Wrestling Club as well, and they've trained there before. So the place in general is just a great place to be. So we don't have to go far. We can eat, study, get on a computer, train, lift. We could do everything right there. So the new facility is incredible. Our guys love it. It's a great recruiting tool. We'll do a couple Zoom calls tonight with recruits and bring them through our facility. So, yeah, I think it makes a difference because you want to be there. That's probably the biggest difference. You want to be hanging around that facility. So that's probably the biggest thing.
Yep, I think that is huge. And for me personally, I'm not cleared to be wrestling right now, and I want to be there. I want to watch the guys. I want to do what I can do, whether it's run or lift weights on the side. I want to do it on the side of the wrestling room. I don't want to do it anywhere else now because of everything that's in that wrestling room and all the pictures and the All-American wall and the national champ little posters and the locker room, the coaches' offices, the dining, like you're saying, just everything about it. Like you want to train there, especially when you know you have it.
It's great. Speaking of those All-American plaques, we started they were in there yesterday hanging them in our media room, the office, the coaches' offices, like that middle ground, whatever you call it, conference center. And they're all on the walls. It's pretty cool every year, chronological order. So it's pretty neat. When you get in there, when you get upstairs, you'll see a whole new. Have you been in a room where you saw your pictures?
I haven't even seen my pictures in person. Just I go in the last 3 times I go in, I take my
walk right out,
and I'm out the door. You know, I'm just here to test negative.
Me too. This is a big test. This morning's a big test for me.
Yeah, I'm getting nervous. It's like I'm taking an exam. I start getting nervous. I'm like, my armpits are sweating when I'm like 5 minutes out from there. I'm like, what's today gonna be like? I know what it's like.
I tested 8 times. I mean, at some point, am I going to be positive? That's what I keep thinking. I mean, holy heck, I can only stay in so long.
Let's just get it over with. Let's just get it over with.
That's, I almost think that. Is it better that, I remember Clemson had 31 guys that had it to start in July. Now they're good. They don't even have to worry about it. No wonder why they're playing football. And I'm not saying that's what we should do, but there's something to it, you know? All right, dude.
Yeah, I was curious. Yeah. This was a great show. Berger was great. I appreciate him coming.
You got some. That was a pretty good call last night. You asked me last night. You're like, "Yo, can we have Berger on?" I'm like, "Absolutely, if that's what you want, as long as it doesn't turn into a." Yeah. It was awesome, man. He was really, really good. I'm glad we did it. But like you talk about not having an ego, you're like, "Yeah, I'll bring this dude on." He called me out. Let's bring him on and talk. And you know what? Because of that, you probably got a match. You probably got a match out of it. Somebody's going to want to pick that match up for sure. I know Willie Flo would love to see that, or Willie Saylor would love to see that.
Yeah, what I was gonna say, man, talking about Willie and just thinking about the live event with Rockfin, you got maybe mix it up, maybe open a SKWC Rockfin page, give these fans a chance to throw a camera up at practice live instead of a wrestle off, throw live practice up there, throw interview with Donnie, it's a good way to get the media out there. And with COVID, people want to see what we're doing, especially people that maybe come into practice to watch already. Like they don't have that opportunity.
Absolutely. We'll set that up. I'll reach out to those guys and set that up. I leave you with this. Where's Vulak in his training? Vulak looks really, really good. And he's losing weight. If we can get out to Geneva, Ohio in October to wrestle in the Junior World Team Trials, he'll be doing that. So that's the plan. Yep. That's the weight and that's the plan. So Vulak's good, man. He's going to be all right.
Yeah. hopefully Vola, maybe he's looking good. He's going to get one of these jerseys in a year from now.
He needs a little bit more work. I'm not saying that.
How good we looking?
All right, my man. Great show.
This is great, man.
Have a great weekend,
Yeah.
all right?
I look forward to it. Are we going to keep this rolling? You think 12 noon's a good time?
Yeah, it's good now. Like I would be, obviously I couldn't be in the room today and nobody was in our room today, but I would come right out of practice and jump on at noon. This is perfect. It works out in our office.
Yeah. And we might be shortening it up like 30 to 45 minutes moving forward, but yeah, that'd
cool,
be great.
Man. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you.
Have a great week, man. Weekend.